from tinahills.com, and today I'm speaking to you about Uranus through the 12 signs of the zodiac. Now, if you have your Uranus in Scorpio like I do, then this is your video. Interestingly, this is a very good placement for Uranus because Uranus is exalted in Scorpio. That means it can just fluidly flow and bring about all the disruption because Scorpio is a sign of death and regeneration. So Uranus has issues coming in and bringing in the thunderbolt of awareness. Okay, now it's very important to understand the energy of Uranus because this is truly the age of Aquarius. I mean, we're standing on the threshold of the age of Aquarius. People say that 2026 Pluto enters Aquarius, and bam, we come into that era. But I don't think so. I think this age of Aquarius has been percolating in the collective consciousness for a while now. Even this video content that I'm doing, by the way, this is Uranian. Okay, everything to do with the internet is Uranian. A very interesting quote by the French philosopher Albert Camus uh, exemplifies kind of very ethos of the energy of Uranus. So it goes like this: rebellion cannot exist without a strange form of love. Now think about it. If you're not engaged with something, if you don't love something to some degree, you will not go in active rebellion against it or for it. Okay, because rebellion stems from love, and that's the energy of Uranus, love and revolution. Okay, and Scorpio loves revolution, by the way. So it is a higher octave of Mercury. So as Mercury is about 3D communication, Uranus is about psychism, spiritual intellect. Okay, it's about getting messages from the other side. It takes 84 years for Uranus to complete an orbit around the Sun, and it stays about 7 years in each sign. It has its own magnetosphere, it has many moons, and it's pretty much like the other giants. It has its own ring system, by the way. But interestingly, its axis is tilted. Thereby, where most planets have their equators, Uranus has its poles. So different from the very beginning, astronomically different, and of course, the great disruptor in astrology is the very epitome of different, weird, the misfit, the innovator, the eccentric. Okay, you can't put them in tiny little Virgoan boxes, okay? They just won't fit. They will, pop out of there straight. Uranus kind of has an association with Varuna because Uranus. Okay, by the way, the name Uranus is not Roman. It's Greek. It's Uranus, the god of the sky. And in a way, he reminds me of Varuna, or the god of the sky in Vedic myths, um, god of the sky and the celestial ocean. Also, the myth of the birth of Lakshmi, the daughter of Varuna, arising from this ocean of milk. It sort of reminds us of the myth of Aphrodite. Very interesting parallels there. Another thing that I want to tell you is Uranus is the father and Kronos is the son. So Uranus was resting one day when Kronos just comes out of nowhere and slashes his genitalia. Okay, and what do you think this means? Okay, the son taking on the father, and like Uranus had done that to his dad. So it's a vicious cycle, but more so, I think this is a deep myth, as Blavatsky tells us that this myth truly portrays the fall of spirit into matter. because Uranus is unmanifest and Kronos is a manifest. So Saturn is the manifest. So when spirit falls into matter, you have this myth that tells us that okay, now Saturn is ready to create the 3D world, and who lies in between Uranus and Saturn? Chiron, the wounded healer, healing every single thing before we move on to the spiritual epiphany that Uranus has to offer us. Exalted situation, it's amazing actually. In Scorpio, Scorpio is all about things that are hidden. It's ruled by Mars and Pluto. Pluto is like this nuclear atomic energy. It destroys to create, kind of like Uranus, if you ask me. Uh, these two cards probably best exemplify the nature of Uranus. You have the tower when all your false constructs fade away, and you're hit by the Uranian lightning, and you just have to let things crumble. What does not serve your highest good? That's Uranus. And then you have the card of Aquarius immediately after this, which is all about healing, receptivity, as above so below, giving and receiving, flow of energy. Healing, the seven stars, the Pleiades constellation, the Saptarishis, giving us boons and spiritual awareness. The Pleiades have always been associated with that. So this is the kind of Aquarius that Uranus rules. And in Scorpio, now Uranus is anything electrical, mechanical, robotics, aeronautics, anything to do with psychology, sociology, anthropology, lightning, natural disasters, electricity, electronics, high tech stuff, anything that's visionary, anything that is futuristic, okay, anything that is progressive. It rules astrology. Look, I have my Uranus in Scorpio, which is my third house, and here I am doing astrology through web content, which is Uranian. So that is the power of Uranus. In Scorpio, it's exalted and like beaming, and ready to give you this awareness. So communication. Yeah, in Scorpio Uranus, you are definitely you act differently to the whole process of death and regeneration. Do you may appear cold to people, but you're not. So you have tremendous emotional volatility, and Uranus can sometimes play havoc with that. And you do come across as someone who doesn't like to express, but that could be a Scorpio side, because Uranus does want you to come out of your shell. Okay, you all know that Scorpio has three archetypes: the Scorpion, the Eagle, and the Phoenix. So if you have in all my life, I was experiencing the energy of Uranus through when I was not spiritually inclined. I was, not doing the right thing. I always saw it, discovered Uranus through a very scorpionic vibe. Then slowly I began to see the larger picture and how I communicate with the world, how I bring taboo things out, how I express them. That's very important. Scorpio as taboo. So Uranus will deal with taboo subjects here. For instance, if you have a Scorpio fourth house, then stuff about your family and some traumas that have been associated, Uranus can bring that out. Maybe even sexual trauma, and Uranus is not afraid to speak of that. Or you may make a blog or a viral video and put it out there. That's how it goes, because there is always a sense of disruption with this energy, because it's for your highest good. There's just no easy way to say this, that yes, sometimes you do feel like your world is falling apart. Yes, sometimes you will feel like what has Uranus done, shove the living life out of me. But at the end of it all, you do realize it was for your greatest good. Okay, it was for your greatest good. For instance, when Uranus moved into Pisces, and I have my moon in Pisces, and Uranus, my third house ruler, and I lost my beloved fur baby in a really bizarre freak accident that happened in a split of a second. So Uranian. I can't tell you that I have assimilated his death and I have like integrated it. I can't tell you that because I haven't. He was my son, But it was just something that I understood with the energy of Uranus and how if it touches your moon or any of your personal planets, a certain level of chaos and destruction is coming your way. What you learn from, and that was actually my greatest spiritual awakening. It happened in 2011, and for me, everything changed after that. And life has never been the same. So learn from these energies because Uranus is bringing to you messages from the other realities, from the world of spirit, from something we don't understand. Uranus is not something we understand, and this age of Aquarius, it's definitely going to have a lot of new things in store for us. So, the gig, like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think. And that's it. Visit my website www.tnights.com.